The winless Philadelphia Wings are just a pair of goals away from an unbeaten start. First, an overtime loss at Washington, followed by a heartbreaking fourth-quarter loss to the Wave at the Spectrum. The whip is wide. Rebound, score by Joey Gold. The defending champion Baltimore Thunder finally posted a win last week over Washington. Mark Hahn, the league leader in points and goals, carries the lightning-quick Thunder attack. The Wings, now led by feisty John Conley and Vinny Pfeiffer, the last line of defense, hope to get that first victory next. Prism Sports presents the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. Brought to you by Coors Light, the right beer now. US Air, fly the USA on US Air. STX, the official equipment supplier. And the Philadelphia Airport Hilton Hotel, the official headquarters of the Philadelphia Wings. Now from the Spectrum, the Baltimore Thunder meet the Philadelphia Wings. Coming up, the fastest game on 2 feet. Good evening, everybody. From the Spectrum, I'm Larry Rosen with the coach at the University of Pennsylvania, Tony Seaman. Welcome to Major Indoor Lacrosse League action. Philadelphia 0-2 in Game 3 of the short schedule. Somewhat of a must-win for Philadelphia.
Anytime you're 0-2, every game is a must-win, especially with a short season. 8 games, the last-place team loses out in the playoffs, it's a must-win.
Paul French has a shoulder problem. He will not be able to go. Bit of a line change as Dick Greaves will get moved up, if you will, onto a new line. He's a key tonight.
Dickie Greaves. If John Tucker's not going to come through and be the dominant force he was last year, Dickie Greaves is the man the ball's got to go to. He can be the scorer.
A little bit of a new look around the crease as Vinny Pfeiffer, the goaltender, will get himself a couple of extra feet of protection, a new crease around the goal, a new orange line. What will that do for Vinny?
It gives him more protection. It means when there's rebounds or balls are loose that he'll have more room to work in his own protected area and lets his defensemen clean the other players out.
Now, Baltimore was 0-2 until they beat Washington a couple of days ago, so they come in 1-2, led by Mark Hahn, the man that was the leader in points in the league in its first season. What do we know about Mark Hahn?
Mark Hahn's got excellent speed. He's a very, very good location shooter. He's a left-hander. He'll put the ball home, and he likes to shoot.
Baltimore gets a lot of their action off rebounds, a lot of goals off the power play. Their extra man unit, very impressive.
Last week, 4 for 4. I think the big key for the Wings is not to get into stupid penalties like they did in the fourth quarter against the Wave.
That is the setup from the Spectrum. Stand by, everybody. The Philadelphia Wings, the Baltimore Thunder, coming up in just a moment.
Major Indoor Lacrosse League presents the world's toughest athlete this Saturday, 1 p.m. on the Spectrum. The red-hot Philadelphia Wings take on the league-leading New Jersey Saints. Coors Light brings you indoor lacrosse, the sport that has it all. Hard-hitting, all-out slashing, fierce sporting, and bone-bruising cross-checking. It is wild. Don't miss a minute. This Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. on the Spectrum. Awesome athletes in the box. The Wings meet the New Jersey Saints. Make contact with the future.
Another huge crowd here at the Spectrum. Good evening again and welcome. Philadelphia Wings versus the Baltimore Thunder here at the Spectrum. Wings coming off a 2-week layoff. They are 0-2. Baltimore 1-2. There are your officials. Vince Russo, Tom Young, and Scott Boyle will be the chief referee.
For the Wings, the starters, number 6, Gary Martin.
And we get a good look at John Stewart, man in the jacket, and his Baltimore Thunder.
Number 7, John Conley.
And we'll take a look at the starters. For the Philadelphia Wings, it'll be Gary Martin, John Conley, Pat Lehman, Brothers, and DeSico with Vinny Pfeiffer in goal. And meanwhile, it'll be Mark Hahn, Pierce, Stahl, Norris, O'Brien, and number 29, Tom Manos in goal. For the Baltimore Thunder, a look at the scratches. First for the Philadelphia Wings, they will be minus several players tonight. The backup goalie, Mark Michella, Dennis Way, Paul French with that shoulder problem, Tom Singleton, Brad Codd, Tom Hannum, and Michael Page.
We have 3 outstanding face-off men for the Baltimore Thunder. O'Brien, who's facing off right now, taking the draw. Kelly and Shaw. They should dominate here tonight. It'll give the Wings all they can handle facing off.
That's the voice of Tony Seaman, head coach of University of Pennsylvania's lacrosse squad. And Philadelphia to our left. Baltimore attacking with Pierce, and obviously a solid man-to-man defense put out by Philadelphia. Baltimore likes to pick and screen off the ball, take those long shots like that one. They score an awful lot on rebounds, as they did right there. Number 14, John Stahl, off the rebound, bangs one home at the 26-second mark of period number 1.
I think if we look closely on this, we're going to see that the ball hits the pipe, hits Pfeiffer in his back, and then goes in the goal. See the shot from outside, the rebound. It's tough from that angle. Catch the rebound, gets clobbered. No, it was in clean. Made a mistake. The camera always wins.
It did go in, come out, and go back in, but it already was a goal for John Stahl. His 5th goal on his 20th shot of the season. 1-0.
The Baltimore Thunder, more than the Washington Wave or the Philadelphia Wings, likes to shoot the lacrosse ball, and not always on the goal, and they're very good at rebounds. Here's another winner on the face-off.
That is just a clean draw, taken away by Steve Shaw. Dave Stewart calls his 3 lines Mo, Curly, and Eugene, because there's no Larry on the squad. This is the Curly line. John Conley working over his man Steve Shaw behind. And back out front, that is Peter Jenkins out of Delaware University. A versatile player, plays both in the man advantage and the short-handed situations for John Stewart. Of course, we have a 45-second clock in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, which right now is down to 10. Chuck Muir tries to work from behind. And where is it? It is in the net. Looked like it went off the back of the head of Vinny Pfeiffer, who took his eyes off it from behind, and suddenly the red light was on.
He definitely shot it from behind the goal. It had to go off of somebody to go in. Here he is. He's going behind the crease. See, he's getting pushed back. Real good defense. He's back behind. He hits Pfeiffer in his back, and it goes in the goal. Smart play by Muir.
Is that used frequently?
First time I've seen it. But I'll tell you something, Larry. The first goal I ever scored in college lacrosse was off the goalie's helmet from behind the cage. It was a feed. It wasn't a shot.
It looked like a 60-foot whistler in the book, though, right?
If it works, use it.
So Philadelphia buried early at 2-0. Finally trying to get their first possession is John Tucker. Wins the draw over to Tony Rash. Tony, number 22, out of Lafayette Hill, Pennsylvania. And we've got an injury down to our left as here comes Philadelphia. Jeff Bozell works with Dave Tasker, getting a new look as he shoots into the midsection of Manis.
5-on-4 at one end with a man hurt down at the far side boards, and you don't move the ball. That's a mistake. They lose it. Just take an easy shot from outside, lose the ball, and it goes the other way.
And at a walk-it-up pace comes Jeff Peak, the lefty, from Towson State to the other Towson State player, John Fay. Actually, he's from New Hampshire University. He works behind. Baltimore obviously likes to do it alone and then go for the rebound. Tasker comes up with a loose ball. Tony, Philadelphia's gotten virtually no offense out of their second and third lines. This is the second unit, if you will, led by John Tucker. And they've got to really turn that red light on a little bit. Easy shot, rebound for Manley, score! Greg Manley all alone in front with his second of the year. All kind of suspended animation for a moment or two before Manley came up with the rebound.
Tucker goes off the goalie's chest. There's Manley right in front. Nobody there to clear him out. Digs him high over the shoulder.
That'll help get the crowd back into it.
Yeah, so important at the beginning of the game. You get down 2-0 at home. The crowd dies. They're quiet. Need some momentum. Need to get it going.
Greg Manley scores for the Wings. Now they're back by...
So it's 2-1. 2 minutes, 15 seconds in. John Tucker wins the draw cleanly to McGrath. Steve McGrath out of Bryn Mawr went to Harriton High, one of the more defensive specialists on the squad. And after Tucker takes the draw up, he'll sit back down for Corrigan.
Smart move by Coach Evans. He's using Tucker for his face-offs no matter what line is out there. He's the one who's 1-2 now after 2 losses on the opening 2. So that's going to be an important factor.
That is Greaves going one-on-one. Beaten by Mattis long side. Greaves has had a lot of opportunities. And a whistle blown on the far side. And a push from the rear. Possession Baltimore. And a cherry picker down the other end. Score just that quickly. Mark Hahn. Catch and fire in one motion. Beats Pfeiffer long side.
I tell you, that referees allowed them to have about a 20-yard break there before there was a whistle. It's supposedly that where the foul is called, that's where you get the ball. They hit him long. He hits it off of Vinny Pfeiffer's left hip. You notice that shot. I've noticed that last week or 2 weeks ago against the Washington Wave. Pfeiffer is weak off his hip side, just off the hip. It's real hard because you can't get your stick up that high. It's hard to get your shoulder or your glove down that low. The hip is a great place to shoot.
That's goal number 9 for Mark Hahn. Here comes Philadelphia, 2-on-1. Short hop save. Oh, and crashing deep into the boards was Conley, but Manos beat him. And we've got a whistle. And it could be on Willard for pushing from behind. That'll be Brian Willard out of Maryland University, picking up the 2-minute minor.
Pat Lehman hurt that ankle last week. I just saw him get tripped there from behind, and it looked like he hurt him again. He's walking all right now, though.
And here's the push from the rear, and he went down on the right hip as the arm went up. And here comes the Philadelphia extra man offense. Call the penalty officially unnecessary roughness. Greaves now is at the top.
I think that's a real smart move by Coach Evans. He's got a person who's versatile in both hands in the middle, and he puts Tasker over on the left-handed outside shooting position. I think that's a real smart move.
And Baltimore plays the box, not the diamond that some squads have used. As again, Greaves is shooting wide. The difference strategically in playing a diamond versus a box, we see Baltimore back in a box.
What happens with the box is you're only putting 2 men out on 3 in the front, so your middle man becomes more important against that, whereas in the diamond, you're matching up with the middle guy up top.
Manos beats Tucker, and Lehman handles the rebound back out front to Greaves as Tasker pops off the bench to join the fray. Manley at the edge of the crease. Again, the crease is 3 feet longer right now. And there's a handball on Jenkins.
There's a whistle.
And Philadelphia maintains possession. 10:43 remaining, period number 1. Baltimore up 3-1. Philadelphia has had limited success with the extra man, and the specialty teams, as all our hockey fans know, is oh so important. Back comes Lou Delegati, has a cherry picker, goes past Jenkins. Pfeiffer handles.
Great eyes then by Pfeiffer. Looks upfield, sees the field so well from that goalie position.
And it's a 5-on-4. Greaves over the shoulder, pass just through the stick of Manley. Manos takes a pop. And Lehman avoids. Here he comes. Has Manley. Good ball movement on this trip. Tucker's shot handled off the screen.
Got it down wide. Off the floor.
And tonight the carpet is courtesy of the Meadowlands Arena. This is a carpet made for the indoor lacrosse game, not a soccer carpet, with the orange designation, a la the New Jersey Saints. And again, the new crease 9 feet in front of the goaltender. Give that goalie a couple of extra feet to work with as we see John Tucker sit down.
John Tucker told me tonight before the game that he's got his regular stick back. I commented last 2 weeks ago against the Wave that a couple times he almost took his toes off on shots. He got a whip in the top of his stick that he was using, and you expect the ball to fly out straight in the projectile, and instead of that, it pulls right down at your feet. You got to there's a catch on your shooting string in the top of your stick. John says this week he's got a stick that he's used to, and he knows where the ball is going to go, and we saw that on the first shot. He was just a little bit on the outside of the pipe.
Here comes Shaw.
Shaw is one big human being, and is he ever strong. You got to match up big people against him, or he's going to give you trouble one-on-one.
The penalty has just expired, so the two squads back to even strength as Brian Willard comes out. And Philadelphia will change line. This should be, yes indeed, Conley, Martin, Lehman, DeSico, and Carruthers, the number 1 unit.
Lehman's been so good for this team, and he's been the main key. He's kept him in everything so far.
A little bit of a standing around offensive set as the shot clock is down to 3. We're about to get a 45-second violation. And just before the whistle goes, out comes Steve Shaw, worked on by Carruthers.
Waits for his teammates to catch up.
And really, they're pretty much a half-court squad is Baltimore. They look for the quick transition. If it doesn't occur, they'll change their unit.
Baltimore definitely is not a team of speed. They are not. Last week we saw the Washington Wave with the Gold brothers much quicker. We haven't seen the fastest team in the league yet. They're the undefeated team, the New Jersey Saints. They're the team with speed. I think that Philadelphia is quicker.
John Stahl from North Carolina gets a double screen off the elbow pad. Vinny Pfeiffer, no longer standing flat in his crease, challenged that shot.
Yeah, Vinny Pfeiffer needed a save. He got one there. He'll get in the game now.
Still early, but the Wings find themselves behind.
Coach John Stewart for Baltimore says he doesn't want to use one goaltender for 60 minutes because the concentration and the intensity is just too much for an outdoor goaltender to learn how to play inside. That's why John O'Brien and Tom Manos are splitting their time. Tucker give and go with Bozell, who tries to go low. Kind of telegraphed the shot just a little bit. And back come those Bumblebee Baltimore Thunder in their gold with black trim, white numerals. And again, they look for the quick transition. It is not there. Timeout called. Yes, we can read lips. Timeout called.
Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to follow the action.
And as we've got a pause in the action, let us take a break and meet and greet a Penn State graduate, an All-American named Gary Martin.
We want you to catch the Wing spirit. Why is it limited? Get yours.
Gary Martin, Long Island born, Penn State educated, he broke on the wing scene with a hat trick in his very first game.
I just played my role, I think, more than anyone. You just go out there and you play hard, and I think the goals will come, and it's more that I was just in the right place at the right time. I think our line together, I think we have a real strong line, and it seems that we gelled a little bit better at the first game than the other two.
Martin works full-time for Unisys. He's grateful for the chance to make some money from what normally would just be a hobby.
I think everyone has a hobby, and I think ours is lacrosse. We played it in college, all of us, and I think we enjoyed it. And I think now they've taken it to a point where we're getting paid for a hobby. So we're getting paid for something we enjoy to do. I like that thing, and I like to see where the league's going to go, because I think we're the starting block for what's going to happen in the future. Being a lacrosse player, because you always had that in your mind that it's not going to be a professional sport, that you go out as a hobby and you enjoy it. And I think it's a small group of lacrosse players that go out and play. And you can see we go out and try as hard as we can, but after the game's over, we're shaking hands, and I think the game is done. And then you're back to reality, really.
There he is, Gary Martin. He, along with John Conley and Pat Lehman, on that #1 line. Tony have scored 13 of the 23 have been put on the board by Philadelphia in their first couple of games. That's the good news. The bad news is the other couple of lines have not really chipped in the way they're expected to.
Yeah, so what Coach Evans has done is he's broken up Tucker and Greaves, taking them off the same line and put them one on one and one on the other, hoping that now they can get some equal contribution from the other two. And I don't think he expected the results that he's gotten out of that first line. He's so happy with it. Now he could just get bonuses here if Tucker and Greaves lines can come through.
Pfeiffer in midair plucks that one to give Philadelphia possession. Long pass, lovely from Tucker. Back pass to Bozell. The big fella shoots wide long side. He seems to go low with just about everything he shoots.
That's smart. You go to bounce. He's not a shooter. He's been a defenseman his whole life in the field game. So when he gets opportunities, you saw he can bull dodge. He just takes the man and says, I'm going to run you over. I'm coming at you. His problem is to complete the play, and that'll come as he works more and more in practice and shooting. And you got to be able to play in this game at both ends. There's no doubt about that. But he'll match up real well against somebody like a Steve Shaw. He certainly can balance out Steve Shaw's strength.
Bozell listed at 6'1", 230. Shaw at 6 foot 215. Now Baltimore does have a number of players over 200 pounds.
Yeah, they have a lot of strength and a lot of size. You can see they try to go a lot of one-on-one and then pick for the ball, which you don't see a lot. Nice save by Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer just off the left arm. Willard, the rebound, goes short side. Again, the individual effort in the rebound work. Cross the crease to Jenkins. Switches hands nicely. Pfeiffer beats him. And really play being controlled by Baltimore through the first 9 minutes of action. Back comes Philadelphia. Corrigan is cherry picking. But Greaves will go alone down the left wing. Stripped behind. Loose one into crease. And Manos covers up. Tony, is there a perfect size or dimension for a lacrosse player?
No, definitely not. To me, I think the #1 ingredient is speed, but I think that's true in any team sport that's got a fairly good-sized field or court that you play on. After that, of course, if you can get somebody who's 6'6" and very fast, He's
You'll
probably
take him.
going to be better than the 5'5" guy who's very fast. But more lacrosse than any other sport that I can think of, size is the least important thing.
Glenn Norris has a good double screen, but the shot never reaches the net. Good speed up the right wing by Stevie McGrath. Goes end-to-end and shoots it wide.
Cut your angle down, Stephen McGrath. You waited too long to take the shot. Goalie can hug the pipe on your near side, and the ball goes wide on the opposite side.
And again, McGrath out of Harrodston High School. Bryn Mawr, not known as an offensive stalwart.
In the first 10 minutes, I think it becomes very noticeable that Philadelphia is faster than Baltimore, and they've got to make use of the transition game. They've got to get the ball up and down.
Piper, nice little stick work to come away with it. And has McGeaney, John McGeaney, at the University of Maryland, Baltimore campus. And back to the number 1 line. John Conley at 5'6", leader in points thus far for Philadelphia. Has a screen from DeSico. Right in the midsection, has his own rebound, just can't come up with it. And that's Carruthers. At Drexel University and Westchester High School, all ECC for a couple of years. He's 26 years of age. Score! Just that quickly. John Conley buries one.
That's a videotaped shot of his shot 2 weeks ago. Conley's the kind of player, watch this replay, that just kills you as a coach because you keep telling him, don't show your stick low because the goalie knows it's going to be low. Conley shoots, puts his stick down and shoots that sidearm shot low, and he scores. He gets the big bounce. He's got good velocity. More important than anything else, he puts it between the 4x4.
Well, we went almost 8 minutes between goals. Now Philadelphia has cut the lead to 3-2. Mark DeSico gets an assist. And the 5th for John Conley to tie Pat Lehman for the team lead. Good crunching hit by John Tucker on Jeff Peake.
That's a real good hit. That's called a sandwich time. He wants to run between 2 people. You're going to get hurt.
More than any other team, it seems Baltimore likes to spread it out. Bird from the top.
Yeah, and I think, Larry, the reason for that, as we said, is because they figure they can go with their size and strength one-on-one a little bit more.
My goodness. From the quick entry pass down to the left post, the turnaround and score by Jamie Smith, the Cornell graduate.
Great shot, real quick release. Up high, finds the good corner. They get caught in the defense. He puts it up top in the left-hand corner there against Pfeiffer. Real nice shot by Jamie Smith. Had the pleasure of coaching Jamie Smith in the North-South All-Star game for college seniors 4 years ago.
There's a young man that has 3 goals on only 7 shots. Is he known as a sniper with great accuracy?
He sure seems that way. Stats prove themselves.
Peek up the left wing. Shot off the shoulder pad by Kelly. And it seems to be when in doubt, shoot the ball is the strategy of Baltimore. They've attempted more shots than anybody else in the league per game. Back comes Philadelphia down by 2. That shot is short hop. Rebound by Tucker. Works around. Good save, Manos.
However, there is the John Tucker that we saw brilliances of there last year. The face dodge in the middle, willing to take the heat when he's going to make his move in the middle. It's like a wide receiver going across the middle for that 15-yard pass. No, he's going to get killed. There's the old tuck. Now he's got to finish. That was a nice shot. This is a real good save on that.
And Manos seems to hold his ground very well. Now Marino as they begin the weave. Almost like a Harlem Globetrotter kind of a weave, where it all's triggered at the top. That's Steve Shaw from Delaware, has the entry pass made. So they don't try to work anything overly complicated, just kind of one pass and a shot, and then crash for the rebounds.
They've spread out, as you mentioned, Larry, but they always move while they're spread out. Where I think at the other end, we're watching Philadelphia stand around a lot. If you don't have the ball or you don't have the pick, you stand.
And this is that 3rd unit that's only had 2 goals in 2 games. Corrigan gets worked over by Shaw.
G.T. Corrigan, pretty famous name in athletics. His uncle was the athletic director at Notre Dame.
That's a score by Jenkins. Goes end-to-end on his own. Makes the strip in the open floor. Goes end-to-end. And the Delaware graduate puts one away. And Vinny Pfeiffer has been burned for 5 first-period goals.
Yeah, Peter Jenkins can put the ball away. Comes in. See that stick position nice and high. He's got all 4 corners to shoot at. He puts it away over top of Vinny's left shoulder. You're coming right down. You're Vinny Pfeiffer here. You can see how tough it is. Jenkins keeps that stick up high. He can shoot it anywhere. You have no clue in the world as a goalie where it's coming from.
And Vinny kind of had a guess long side. Gave up the short side post in the penthouse. And he was beaten 5-2. Baltimore on top. And again, this huge Philadelphia crowd, not a chance to be much of a factor as yet. Conley's double team, the loose ball picked up by number 17, Glenn Norris from Salisbury State. And he's got a double screen to work down the middle. Nice look for O'Brien. Pfeiffer guesses right on the long side. And back comes Philadelphia, 3-on-1. Led by Martin. Martin, the no-look pass in front. And they just can't quite finish. That was Lehman. Lovely pass by Martin. They just couldn't quite finish it. And Lehman shows a bit of temper.
I think that's some of your reaction of being a field player. You're just not used to getting pushed from behind. Here we see the breakaway. It's a great look cross field to Martin. Might hold it just a step. Goes for the good corner, but he's up in the air and he misses high.
And Lehman still struggling behind the offensive end. And roughing against Baltimore and Philadelphia. And a little bit of a carpet problem. Of course, there was hockey here earlier in the day. And a great job by the Spectrum crew to get the building ready. But there's a little bit of a puff behind what would be the Philadelphia net that they're shooting toward, with 1:12 remaining in period number 1.
In a closed area or closed box game like this, or even on the field game, as a coach, you're always telling your players, when you pick a ground ball up, get rid of it. Get it to somebody. Even if it's somebody only 10, 12 feet away from you, get it to them, because everybody's coming after you. They're all going after the ground ball. Once you pick it up, don't hold it, don't twirl and dance with it and keep it. Move it to the next player. Find the next guy who's open, because the 2 guys who came to get you, once you get rid of the ball, now you've got a 4-on-3 or a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1. It's such a key element. Just 2 minutes. If you watch the Wings over the last 2 games, it's something that Mike French, the general manager, pointed out to me on the phone the other day. He said, I'm just so concerned, and I keep telling Coach Evans, and I know he keeps telling the team, you've got to look to move the ball out of the corners, off the ground. Get it to the open man.
There is John Stewart, longtime coach, Loyola High School, right, Loyola College product. There are the standings as we enter play tonight. New Jersey beats Washington 25-15 earlier in the week to move to 3-0. Washington 2-2. Baltimore, the defending champions, come in at 1-2 with a win over Washington. And Philadelphia 0-2 in last place right now.
We started tonight's game by saying how important tonight's game is for the Philadelphia Wings. 0-2, but a win tonight puts them in a 1-2 position, tied with Baltimore. The 3 top teams go to the playoffs. The Wings got to come alive here.
Baltimore only won 2 regular season games last year, both against Philadelphia. That shot never reaches the net off Lehman. And Baltimore in possession as we reach the final minute of period number 1 with Jeff Peak. And it looked like Bird was doing some bird watching rather than ball watching. Wanted to give the hint to Gary Martin, let the ball kind of go, and Bird and Martin working hard right in front of Vinny Pfeiffer. Off the spread offensive set. It's Lou Delegati. In front to score on the short hop. Lovely look for Bird, who rolled away from Gary Martin and knocked in off the short hop.
I tell you, Vinny Pfeiffer's having some trouble here tonight. They're shooting good shots, but I think he sees that one all the way. It looks like it goes between his legs. You can see from this position. Nice pass. Good bounce shot. You can't really blame the goalie, but yet you need somebody that can make a couple key saves for you. Try to get everybody going and get the ball going the other way.
Now this line with Bird is not the high-scoring line. They get some contributions out of Bird, Peak, Delegati, and Smith. Suddenly they're up 6-2.
And win another face-off and control the ball. So important. Shaw could give you a clinic on how to face off. In fact, he has his own videotape out on Facing Off. It's you can purchase through the Hall of Fame.
Clock down to 10, as you see in the lower part of the screen. And here's Marino. One final thrust. Jenkins has the screen, an easy one for Pfeiffer at the horn. So Baltimore comes into Philadelphia and piles up 6 first-period goals. Baltimore 6, Philadelphia 2. We've completed 1 quarter of play. And welcome back to the Spectrum, where Baltimore has put 6 on the board in period number 1. And really, the score pretty much indicative of the play, as Baltimore controlled the faceoffs and had much of the play in front of Eddie Pfeiffer as we look at some work by Manos.
Manos, just a real good save, good position. He played a real strong first quarter, that's for sure.
Baltimore had 12 shots in the first period and knocked in 6 of them. And they're holding an unofficial 6-4 lead in faceoffs. And Baltimore had 6 goals, each scored by a different scorer. And that's always a good sign for a coach to spread around the offense like that. There's John Tucker, who's not piling up the points, but is doing a good job facing off. And on the defensive side.
Against number 25, Chris O'Brien.
But again, this time O'Brien beats him. And now Baltimore will work to our right.
They also have a 6-2 lead.
In black and gold with the white numerals, that's Pierce. Mark Pierce out of Bucknell University. As the weave begins. Stahl out front. And that's Chris O'Brien. I didn't like that. Great little inside weave. One entry pass, quick shot. That time Pfeiffer beat him with the left leg. And here comes Tucker, 2-on-2 if they hurry. Tucker accepts the hit, goes to his man in front. But Tony Resch can't come up with it. He's stripped behind by Pierce.
That's a great pass by John Tucker. He draws the defenseman. John Tucker sees the field. We said it last year. John Tucker's a lot like Larry Bird. He plays the game. We say see the field. Larry Rosen's hero, and certainly one of my heroes, John Chaney, says you play the game in slow motion. They're the great players. They're the great coaches. They see the game in slow motion. That's just a big key. John Tucker plays the game in slow motion. Not plays it, but sees it. And that's so important. He knows what's going on, what everybody else is doing, besides himself.
And here's that similar offensive set as Pfeiffer beats number 3, Jeff Peak. What are they trying to do? It's a similar set time after time with a weave in front of Pfeiffer.
They're weaving. They're just getting people to run through his vision. They're also making a lot of picks off the ball so that somebody can bounce up and you can hit that open man, which they do very well. And they look for him, and then sometimes the person who's gets picked falls down or is pushed down, then you're all alone if you're the man who pushed them down. So they're looking for a different 3 or 4 different things out of their strategy. John Stewart, coach club, is very impressive so far offensively.
Here we go.
And John Tucker wins the draw this time. And a nice hit by number 6, John Fay from New Hampshire University. Philadelphia comes back with it. Trailing 6-2, they've been outshot 13-8. And it's been only 1 penalty thus far, and that one against Baltimore. Here's Steve Way making his first appearance, not on a regular line. In there kind of as a spark plug, wants to go it alone.
There's a shot.
Trying to use his eyes there to deke off the goalie, get him thinking he's going somewhere else, and then take the shot.
We have one now.
Reeves goes low, and it almost trickles through.
Take it again.
And Delegati
Wings beginning.
off the bench hammers Steve Way. And Way works with a screen, so this time he's going against Jeff Peak. And now they'll work the other wing. Reeves over the shoulder. Save of the night by Manos, although I'm not sure he knew where it was, as Greaves tried to go wrap around over the shoulder.
Dickie Greaves could have put that away if he'd gone straight ahead and not shot back behind his neck. He had the goalie beat and shot back to where he had beat him to. You do that so many times, but it's easy for me to say up here.
Again, unlike Washington, where Beardmore would come up and join the fray, both Manos and Pfeiffer pretty much stay-at-home goalkeepers. The screen for Shaw. knocks his man down with one hand, all alone in front. Great save, Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer stole the bacon that time from Chuck Muir. And maybe that'll fire them back up. Long left wing pass.
That's a great, great save by Vinny Pfeiffer. If anything's going to get you some momentum, that should do it. One thing I've noticed throughout the whole first quarter, now in the second quarter, every time the defense for the Wings gets the ball, they make a bench substitution, and it slows it up. It takes them out of their transition. I don't think they're using their overall speed, which is stronger against Baltimore, well enough. I think that they're cutting down on that by making these substitutions.
Great interception by Willard, but he can't come away with it. And Carruthers throws his weight around, and Martin is stripped by Marino.
That's where you should move the ball, right there. He picks it up. He's got another guy he can just give it to 2 feet away, and they'd have it, and they'd have some 3-on-4. Instead of that, he keeps it. He gets 2 guys coming at him. They take the ball away.
And as we roll inside 11 minutes in period number 2, Baltimore really controlling tempo.
One thing now, there's a difference of philosophy of coaching. We see Baltimore go for the transition. They don't have it. Then they hold up, make their substitutions. The Wings so far make the steal. Everybody holds up in the defensive end. They get their players out, get the new players in. It takes away from the transition.
Here is Stahl, goes right around his man. Pfeiffer saves the day as Gary Martin got beaten. Norris crossed the crease, shot, and some arms were up. Where's the ball? Ball looks like it's in the net. Or is it lodged somewhere in Vinny Pfeiffer's pads? It went right up the sleeve of Vinny Pfeiffer. And Chuck Muir thought he had a goal. It's still 6-2. We're scoreless through the first 5 minutes of the second period. Here's Manley, who's been strangely silent offensively. Good look to Bozell, who tries the bulwark.
There's that pick and roll where Bozell picked Manley's man and just knocked him off the ground. And when he did that, he got the ball back, but he didn't get rid of it quick enough, and his lack of offensive skills shows up.
Baltimore seems to get back very quickly on defense. Fast break opportunities have been limited at best for Philadelphia.
Once again, I'm not sure if that's because they get back or because the Philadelphia Wings don't look for that fast break.
Lou Delegati, who really created some havoc in Philadelphia last year with John Tucker. Across to Fay. Shot clock in single digits at 6. And Smith will have to fire. He doesn't realize it. And seemingly a lot of the guys don't know about the clock just yet. Smith, a first-year player, you have to be aware of the 45-second clock at all times.
Yeah, you sure do. And Jamie Smith comes from a college career playing for Richie Moran at Cornell, where there was great ball movement and great ball control. So you got to get that out of your blood after hearing about it and doing it for 4 years. Get in here where you're shooting in 45 seconds.
Tucker roams to his right, never gets the shot away. It's off the window and up into the 6th row.
And it belongs now.
And it's Baltimore ball.
It's a great matchup out there. Bozell against Delgatti. I mean, if there's anybody in the world who can shut down Delgatti and take some of the spunk and the late hits and the toughness out of somebody, it's Jeff Bozell.
Still 6-2. 8:45 left in the first half of play.
And some screens off the ball for Shaw. Switches hands and takes a wraparound hit out of Tucker and retaliates. Bozell throws his weight around, and Jenkins is open. Spins into the midsection. And a triple team on number 9, Chuck Muir, as Pfeiffer cradles.
And watch out, Scott Boyle, referee. Last year, Scott Boyle's first refereeing ever in the MIL. He comes in to break up a fight, and he gets 9 stitches in his head from a stick. So I think he's coming in tonight with his hands up and his feet up and everything else, covering himself.
Philadelphia possession. There we see the action between Tucker and Shaw.
It's a hell of an offensive move right there, Larry. It's called a straight arm.
And we've got a penalty coming up against Baltimore. But first to score by number 12, Dick Reeves. And maybe that'll light Dick's fire a little bit. His second goal of the season. The All-American from Washington University.
We're talking about the vulnerability of a goalie off his hip. You're going to see it on Dickie Greaves' shot. He put it right off his right hip. Just a great shot, but once again, sidearm. I talked to Dickie in the locker room tonight. He says, Coach, I'm going to shoot everything overhand tonight.
And it still seems as if Brian Willard will go to the penalty box nonetheless. We'll take a break. Baltimore 6, Philadelphia 3, the midway point, period number 2. Welcome back to the Spectrum. Philadelphia trails by 3 at 6-3. Midway through the second period, and maybe Dick Greaves will get back involved offensively. Here comes an early period opportunity.
Yeah, Dickie Greaves comes in. He really should have scored this one. He puts it behind his back, gives him no location whatsoever, sticks it right in the middle of Manos. Instead of that, 15 seconds ago, we see him with a sidearm shot, which he told me he wasn't going to use much tonight, but he goes back to his old baby that got him so many goals in college, and he puts it right off the hip of Manos. A beautiful shot for a goal. Dickie Greaves comes alive with his shooting. Then the Philadelphia Wings are going to win themselves a lot of ball games. Here they go, extra man. And you know that even though there was a penalty called, a slow whistle situation, if you score, you still get the penalty in the extra man situation, which the Wings have right now.
That is Brian Willard in the penalty box. And here comes Jenkins with some great speed. Peter Jenkins challenges John Tucker back out front. Man alone is Pierce. Tries the bounce shot, goes over the top. Brian Willard now has both penalties in the game.
Off of a loose ball. Is thwarted by the Wings defense, and here they come again on offense.
Real nice ball movement here by the Baltimore Thunder. Real nice save by Vinny Pfeiffer. The low bounce shot, gets his glove down there, gets his knees bent over top of the ball. Here we go, extra man.
And it's Greaves playing that point position. And Baltimore sitting tight in the box. Score! From 35 feet out, right wing.
That's why they moved Tasker to that shooting position on his left hand. I think he's a much better player, and he's much more effective when he's not in the middle. They move him out there, and it works. Good shot.
Most experienced player on the floor, at least in terms of indoor.
Right, Greaves draws the man, dumps off to Tasker. Tasker puts it through the Tucker screen. There's the shot. No one comes out to play him. Real nice in the lower corner.
And Manos was frozen. Tasker played in the old National Lacrosse League back in the mid-70s. And that is a man advantage goal. Here comes Philadelphia 4-on-1 if they spread out. Conley's open. Shot scored! So 3 goals in the space of 90 seconds get Philadelphia back into it. It is Pat Lehman at 6-5.
Here he is, gets it in the corner. I would have liked to have seen him move it, but he doesn't. But he comes in with a real nice bounce shot. You got a goalie guessing. They've scored on the last 3 shots. You're saying to yourself, can I make a save or can I? Bang, it's by. Momentum's in their favor. Here they come.
And that's 2 goals in 11 seconds. And Lehman gets it unassisted. At the 7:59 mark of period number 2, it is 6-5. Baltimore's taking a timeout. Will stay.
You know,
during the course of the timeout. Go ahead, Tony.
One of the beautiful things about lacrosse and hockey is that every time you score a goal, the ball gets faced off in the middle of the field again, and you've got a chance to come right back and put it right back home. You're never out of a lacrosse game. You can always come back in a matter of seconds just because of that development of the face-off. Last year in the NCAA playoffs, we were losing by 2 goals with 47 seconds left against the University of Massachusetts, first round of the NCAA playoffs, and we win the game 11-10 in regulation time, just because of the face-off. We get all 3 face-offs, come back and score 3 goals in 47 seconds to win it. So
good coaching.
Great coaching. Had the right kid out there to win the face-off and the right kid to shoot the ball in the goal.
There's Coach Evans, who will be meeting at halftime, a special feature. We hope you'll stay with us for that. We talked about Philadelphia needing to get goals from all 3 lines. Well, Greaves on the 3rd unit, Tasker from the 2nd unit, and Pat Lehman from the 1st unit have scored in this 90-second stretch to get them back in the ball game.
Great shot of the face-off. See the technique. Once again, you see the control.
And here's Lehman on a breakaway. He can tie it. He does. Lehman.
I think the crowd's back into the game.
Pat Lehman strips his man to the open floor, goes in 2-on-0 with Conley, and buries it behind Manos.
Watch his head. Just watch Pat Lehman's head. He's going to look down. Goalie's going to go down. He's going to stick it high. Watch him look down. There he looks down, puts it right up in the top right-hand corner. That's how you deke a goalie. There's a great shot. What a shot. That goes for an Emmy Award for the cameraman on that one. You see it all there. There's a clinic. You get the chance to see very few situations like that. That's using your head and playing a game. That's why Pat Lehman's a great player.
Lehman scores 2 goals in 8 seconds. 3 goals Philadelphia in 19 seconds. The hit from behind after the goal leads to another penalty. And Philadelphia will be on a man advantage as Jamie Smith is in the penalty box. The third penalty of the night. It's called a late hit. All 3 against Baltimore. Philadelphia 1 for 2 with a man advantage, and they've scored 4 unanswered goals.
Now, once again, we're going to see the face-off become very critical for the Baltimore Thunder. They'd love to get this ball and kill some of this penalty time, or maybe get a breakaway right off the face-off. They're going to put Mr. Shaw out there to try to do the job for him. On the other hand, the Wings need the ball, an extra man situation, and a chance to keep this unbelievable momentum going.
John Conley, pretty much the number 2 face-off man behind John Tucker, will take the draw, and it's won by Kelly. As a man all alone, it's Fay, and he's beaten by Pfeiffer. And Pfeiffer comes out of his own net. But there's a whistle. And looks like a shot to the head is being discussed with John Tucker. And here's the save again.
There's a great pass by Kelly across the Fay. Fay's going to drop his stick. Hits Vinny, once again, a great anticipator. Vinny Pfeiffer. He should have definitely bounced the ball low or faked once to see where Pfeiffer's going to go. Remember what we've talked about. Vinny Pfeiffer is an anticipator as far as a goalie is concerned. He's going to deke you. He's going to try to guess where you're going and give you something open and then get there to cover it.
Time 8 minutes, 19 seconds.
And off the ball, Gary Martin nailed for a slash.
Yeah, they were coming at Pfeiffer to get him once he came out of the box, and Martin saw the man, Fay, going for him. So Martin cleaned his clock to stop him from getting to the goalie. I know the Wings are really unhappy with that call by Scott Boyle.
And it's the first penalty of the night against Philadelphia. 12 seconds difference between the Smith penalty and the Marchand penalty. So Baltimore will wind up with a 12-second man advantage in about a minute and a half.
You know, this is a great time, I think, to use Dickie Greaves. If you can get the ball down the other end, one less player on the field, it opens up. Tucker and Greaves are great one-on-one players with the ball.
They're playing 4 aside plus the goalkeepers. And the 45-second clock continues to move in the 4-on-4 set.
We see an isolation play out here by the Baltimore team. They're going to try to let him go one-on-one.
That's Peter Jenkins.
Real nice defense. Through the screen.
Hit off the backside of Fay. That never reached the net. Loose ball picked up by Tony Resch, the former Yale University All-Ivy League football standout and a Philadelphia product. There he is. Resch has room. Just stripped at that final moment by Marino.
Well, the game is turning into a rough tumble contest.
And it looked like Resch had a clear pathway to glory.
The only problem was he kept his stick above his head. Man came over top and got it. You got to tuck your stick in next to your ear. Then all they get is your head. And they're not going to get your stick and take the ball away.
And again, Baltimore playing it at that walk-it-up pace, allowing lots of clock to roll. Shot clock already down inside 20. Mark Hahn, the left-handed shot is well wide. Rolls all the way back out of the top to John Fay.
They're just going one-on-one to get the shot off through the screen. Make it tough on Vinny Pfeiffer.
Fay from Portland, Maine and New Hampshire University.
Fay still lives up there, too, and they transport him down every week for a game to Baltimore.
Is that a growing area of lacrosse interest up in the New England area?
It's always been pretty good. Here comes their extra man now as the Baltimore team gets their man in.
And Jamie Smith comes out of the penalty box and shoots immediately. And in 3, 2, 1, Philadelphia has Gary Martin back out of the box. So both penalties expire. No harm. It's 6 apiece at the 4.5-minute mark, 3, number 2.
Only problem was the Wings never got a chance to have the offense when it was 4-on-4.
Cute little move there as Shaw was coming off the bench. The pass was given to him before he had gotten off the floor. But no whistle. Shaw tries to just use brute strength, gets a screen, has a man, Jenkins in front, and Pfeiffer comes up big. He's got Manley alone if they can get it to him. And Manley takes Marino by the body rather than going for the ball. And Gary Martin and Shaw go at it.
Referee Scott Boyle.
And possession belongs to Philadelphia.
That's a real good call. Baltimore player touched the ball with his hand, covered it, put it in his stick. That's illegal, so it goes to the wings.
That man, Scott Boyle, seemingly in command tonight here at the Spectrum.
He's a real top-rated field lacrosse college referee, so he does a good job. He'll take command, for sure.
There's Conley. Has a wide-open left-handed shot. It is well wide. Conley flies for the rebound. Had two men and elected to shoot. Had a choice of Lehman or Martin for an easy, uncontested shot in front. Make that Lehman or Crothers. And Pfeiffer comes up big on the other end, beating Brian Willard. And finally, action comes end to end. Gary Martin, Peter Jenkins working the corner. Pulled out by Marino. He's all by himself and scores through the 5-hole. Unbelievable. Butch Marino out of Newark, Delaware, takes the 5-hole. First goal against Vinny Pfeiffer since the 14-22 mark in period number 1.
Yeah, I was just going to comment that Pfeiffer's playing such a great goal right now. You see he lifted his stick. The stick's about 4 or 5 inches off. 4 or 5 inches off the turf. Ball goes underneath. Marino lets everybody in the world know it's going to be low bouncer, it's going to be underhand. Then he just doesn't make the save. Boy, he sure has made some big ones to get the Wings back in this.
Well, that's 4 unanswered goals ended now by Baltimore, which had gone 12-33 between goals. Another lovely play in front and a nice save by Pfeiffer, although that might have hit the pipe to the weak side. And back comes Dickie Green. He's got 2 steps. And he's finally drilled from the back. And we're going to get a whistle. And it may be a penalty against number 7, Brian Bird. Took him a while to catch up to Dickie Green.
Watch Dickie Green switch his hands twice. He goes lefty, trying to draw Bird that way, righty, then back lefty. He's deking out the defenseman. Now he's working on the goalie when he gets in close, and Bird pushes him before he can really get the shot off. He knew that Bird was catching him from behind. He didn't want to give him his stick as he was shooting, so he kept switching his hands, but Bird pushes him illegally, so they get the penalty.
How about a penalty shot has been awarded Philadelphia?
Excellent
clear
call.
breakaway. Indeed, at least a 2-stride advantage on a clear breakaway.
Player is pushed from behind by the defense.
So it's Greaves against Manos. First time for Philadelphia in their history that they'll get a penalty shot.
We'll see who's going to take the shot. Let's hear it from the folks.
I was just going to say, if I was Coach Evans, I would let Lehman take this shot instead of Dickie Greaves, because I think Lehman's is just a little bit smarter with the ball all alone. And out walks Lehman, and he's going to take the shot.
Now in hockey, it's the man that's hit that must take the shot, not here. We'll let the crowd tell you as Lehman goes.
Ball start.
Up.
Scotty Boyle, the referee, will make sure the
Call that a false start, as Manos was not officially notified. Here comes Pat Lehman.
Again, he's such a great player with his eyes. Watch his eyes and his head. He's going to dink the goalie several times. Keeps his stick up in good position.
Pat Lehman, a hat trick.
Let's watch it. Comes in, keeps his stick up nice and high. He's got all 4 corners. He looks to the left, a couple dinks right inside that ear, right over top of the left shoulder.
Looked like Manos was trying to draw him to come to the other side.
Yeah, he's playing the same game from his end. Oh, that's lovely. That's great. He shoots away from the stick, gets the goalie just that little bit of a move. When you got pinpoint accuracy, he puts it away.
Philadelphia back tie. There's their leading scorer, Pat Lehman. Has a natural hat trick in period number 2. And it's 7-7.
And it's tied 7-7. 2:48 left. Here we go in the face-off.
And John Tucker takes the draw again, wins it to Tony Resch.
There's good ball movement off the ground. Now keep it going.
Wing to wing to Tucker. Has his man turned. Had a little bit of room long side. Another shot low by Steve Way. Manos handles. And Manos' night's work is almost to a conclusion. That is the second penalty shot, by the way, in Wings history. John Grant scored on one last year, and the only two in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League's couple of years of existence. And as we roll down toward the 2-minute mark, we're tied at 7. And John Stewart for Baltimore goes back to that number 1 unit.
2 minutes left in the first half of play. We're tied.
There's John Stahl.
Wings on the defense.
Stripped by John Tucker. Tucker looks up the floor and says nothing doing. And he'll walk it up the wing. Length of the floor pass. Danko in front.
Off a great shot by number 15.
And then Danko breaks it loose. But back in the open floor comes Pierce of Baltimore.
That's great defense by John Tucker. Good double. You teach him if you get the guy's back of his laces, you see the back of his helmet, keep going with the double. He doesn't see you coming. And you're going to have a good shot at catching him and getting the ball away from him.
That's O'Brien at the top.
Trying to set the pick. Norris.
Double screen for Norris. No one picks up the shooter, but Pfeiffer handles it by himself.
Pfeiffer has been tested, and here they come up.
And with 1 minute remaining in our first half, here comes Philadelphia. John Tucker left wing.
Second in the first half.
To Graves at the top.
Reeves.
Draws the double team and fires. Manos handles off Crothers.
Manos takes a shot at the shooter. Ball in the corner. Taken by Baltimore.
And there's Mark Hahn.
Whistle.
And a timeout taken by
Timeout
the Baltimore Thunder with 44 seconds remaining in period number 2. And Tony, Philadelphia seemingly took their best shot from Baltimore in the first period, and that seems to be the character of the squad. They've gotten behind early in a couple of their ball games, and then have come back almost, let's counterpunch and see what the other guys have first, and then react to what we see.
True. I think 2 keys here. Vinny Pfeiffer does an outstanding job in a goal in the second quarter. Just an outstanding job up until that one goal that he's let in here in the second quarter. Here he is. I mean, he's just anticipating great. That's a great save. A big bounce shot. Gets it up off the face. He's looked up the field well. The second thing that's been a big key is they're starting to get the ball moving a little bit better. They're finding the open man and getting better shots against Manzo, and that's a big key. Momentum starts going. They're starting to get a couple more face-offs than they got earlier, and their extra man comes through with a goal. So that's how they got back into it. They got 13,000, 14,000 people here yelling their heads off for them. They got a great crowd. They got the best crowd in the MIL. Philadelphia Wings have the home crowd, and they are the best ones by far.
And there is Manos on the back. Thank you very much.
February 3rd, 5 to 7 p.m.
And indeed, it's a nearly full house here at the Spectrum. Remember, 44 seconds on the game clock, so the 45-second clock will be shut down. Tied at 7, and set the Baltimore lineup. It is what they call their Mo line.
4 seconds are left in the first half of play.
I'm sorry, it's the Curly line. Shaw, Jenkins, Marino, Willard, and Muir.
They're looking to turn the ball over quickly. Baltimore, let's see what they'll do.
And they're going to give it to their great little Dodger up top. They're going to try to ISO. They really spread it out. Jenkins is going to hold. They're going to hold here. Let it count down. The clocks are counting down together. I think there's 31 difference of 2 seconds on the 2 clocks. So they're going to go for the last one, not give the Wings a chance to go ahead there before the end of the half.
Great shot there. The difference between the 2 clocks right down the barrel with Vinny Pfeiffer. And they start the set with Muir.
And Muir, Philadelphia should remember Muir well. He beat him in overtime a year ago.
With 6 seconds remaining, one last opportunity. And the blue light goes on and the horn sounds. We have reached halftime at the Philadelphia Spectrum. A great second period by the Wings. It's the Philadelphia Wings 7, the Baltimore Thunder 7. And stay tuned for a special report on the head coach of the Philadelphia Wings.
In addition to that, we have the Pancot Gymnastics team from Melbourne.
Welcome Welcome back to the Spectrum. Vinny Pfeiffer, a brilliant second period, has Philadelphia back in it, tied with Baltimore at 7-7. This the second year of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, and a major change in the front office as Mike French became the general manager, decided to hire a man with indoor lacrosse experience by the name of Dave Evans. Time to meet and greet the head coach of the Philadelphia Wings, Dave Evans. It is laboratory time, practice night, and Dave Evans' thoughts turn to preparation for himself and his team. But unlike most professional coaches, his players have arrived following a full day's work. Last year, continuity was clearly a problem in the first year of the return of pro lacrosse. Head coach Dave Huntley took a regular shift on the floor by mid-season. But this year, leading scorer Mike French hung up his stick, and in his new role as general manager, he's added to the league's credibility.
I didn't want to be the coach, and they asked me to be, and I did not. And that's why I think that I wanted to get somebody like Ed Evans, who was a former goalie, and a guy, 37, 38 years old, mature guy, and I think he's doing a great job.
Dave Evans, at least, is giving it his best shot. A summertime greenskeeper at a Vancouver country club, Evans is spending this time of year as a full-time box lacrosse coach. Molding full-time businessmen into weekend warriors can be a problem, so Evans makes his rules clear.
I expect certain things from the players. I'm not a ranter and a raver and a screamer and yeller. I think that sort of thing is very passé, and these guys they're mature people. They're all professional people in their own right, and that sort of approach I just don't think works. Basically, my tendency is that I ask certain things of them. As long as they accomplish those things and work to accomplish those things, we get along very well. I'm pretty easygoing. If they don't work to accomplish those things, then one of two things will happen. I will just outright release a person, or I might throw a bit of a tantrum or double up some of the conditioning things in practice. But generally speaking, I ask what from them what I do myself, and that's put a lot of time and dedication into the game. If they do that, then we get along fine, and thus far there's been no problem at all.
His lacrosse resume includes a playing career in the Old National League and coaching experience with a women's team in British Columbia and the Canadian national team, all part-time commitments. But can he afford to do it as a career?
Probably the stupidest economic thing I've ever done in my life, but realistically, it's something that I played in the Old National League 12 years ago, I guess it is now, with Montreal. And at that point, we were kind of pioneers as players, much like the players are now. And I looked at this as an opportunity to kind of get in on the ground floor in a coaching situation. I've been coaching the last several years at home, and plus it's something I really enjoy doing. And I've done things like this all my life, sort of make kind of, I guess you'd call, rash decisions in terms of jobs and things, to commit myself to lacrosse at the amateur level, and to come down here and to help out whatever way I can with this league and with the fellows down here. I'm more than happy to do that. No matter what the financial situation is, I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy the city of Philadelphia and the air. I live in Wilmington, but I spend a lot of time in Philadelphia. I really enjoy the city, and I've made a lot of friends and things down here. And I would love to do it as a career. It's something I've done all my life at the amateur level. And to have the opportunity, it's like anybody, I guess, when they get the opportunity to do something at a professional level that they've done basically for nothing for a good number of years, you just jump at the chance. And I would love to do it, definitely.
And he'd certainly like to get that first win under his belt tonight. He's in good position. Philadelphia, Baltimore tied at 7 at the half. We'll come back with first half statistics and analysis in just a moment. It's been kind of a tale of two different ball games, first period and second period. The first period virtually all belonged to Baltimore. Here, Brian Bird will make it 6-2 late in period number one.
Takes the ball along the boards by himself, just runs away, comes in uncontested, puts it over top corner of Vinny Pfeiffer. Real nice shot in the top corner.
And in that first period, 6-2 Baltimore. They came out smoking. But in period number two, it was pretty much the Pat Lehman show, a natural hat trick in the second period.
Here's when he had that penalty shot. He comes down, just great digs, and puts it right in that top corner. I tell you, Pat Lehman, we talk about Tucker and we talk about Greaves, but week after week now, in the third game of the season, Pat Lehman has become the hero.
You see Pat Lehman 3 in a row, only the Marino goal in between it. So it is 7-7 after the first half.
Some real keys, Larry. Number one, I think, has to be the defense of the second period, led by Vinny Pfeiffer. 1 for 12, the Baltimore Thunder in the second period. 1 for 12. In a box game, that many shots, unbelievable. Pfeiffer's big save after big save. And then, of course, Pat Lehman and the rest of the wing shooting so well.
Here we go. Ready to go.
There's John O'Brien. He played the entire first 2 games against Washington. He is their number 1 goalie, if you will. But does not quite have the concentration, says their coach, Stewart, to go 60 minutes. So he's in half number 2. Baltimore in the black and gold with white numerals. Works to our left against Philadelphia in their silver and black with the white numerals. Stahl off the face mask of Vinny Pfeiffer. Vinny certainly does not seem to have any kind of concentration problems. Kevin Bilger, the backup goalkeeper, hasn't played in quite some time.
You know, I think if you sit down and talk with any goalie, man to man, he's going to tell you that the longer he's in the game, the more his blood flows, the more he gets into it, the more the rhythm's there. And I think that the more trouble a coach has deciding between 2 goalies who's going to start, who's not going to start, he feels they're both equal, the more he goes to the philosophy of he doesn't concentrate for 60 minutes. So I'm not blaming Coach Stewart, that's his decision, but I think if you talk to the goalies, they'd rather play the whole game.
Shot clock down to 8 as Mark Hahn works left off the left foot of Pfeiffer. Nice matchup, Mark Hahn with Pat Lehman.
Here's that switch again. Here's where he brings somebody off and puts somebody in, and instead of looking downfield for the transition right there, they come to the sideline and they don't get the transition, they don't use their speed, and I think they got that going in the second period, and I hope that they get it going again here.
DeSico had Carruthers, chose not to use him. Tasker, and by the time the whole unit gets out as Rest joins, the shot clock's at 15. So Rest tries to go it alone, make that Tasker rather. And O'Brien into the game. Tries the long outlet, but Pfeiffer runs it down. And a little behind the back move. Here's Jeff Bozell. Nobody anywhere near Manley. Oh, and he just hits the pipe on the short hop. How did Manley get so wide open? Greg Manley out of Loyola University will not have an easier one than that. Norris, nice pass from his, as he falls on his right hip, back out to Jenkins. And again, we see Baltimore's strategy completing the unit and going with that half-court setup as Buer and Willard join the fray. That's Jenkins out of Delaware University. To Marino. Butch Marino, also from Delaware, likes to play in that point.
I had a goalie back in high school, Rich Capone, way back in 1960s. And every game I'd see him go out, and after warm-ups and just before the game started, I'd see him bend over and kiss the 2 side pipes. I go, what the heck are you doing? He says, Coach, I'm kissing my 2 best friends. Good luck. Boy, are the pipes. They're the goalie's favorite friends. There's no doubt about that.
This time, Philadelphia looks for transition, but Dickie Greaves sees 3 on 5 and pulls it back out, joined by McGeaney. And he's pulled down. That'll be a penalty on Marino as all 3 officials get the left arm up in the air. And Marino heads for the penalty box.
Beard is not going to stay with Dickie Greaves on that quick step. He makes the quick step. He's by him, and it's take you down time. Good refereeing, good call. Great chance to get some momentum going for the Wings. The extra man. They scored the last time they were extra man.
And that's Marino's 2nd penalty of the year. Had a major in the last game against Washington. And now we see the box of Baltimore. Philadelphia in the man advantage with Tasker left side. Catch.
What Greaves wants to do is draw one of these side guys. He gets the man, and then you're going to get the overload. And there it is. Now we go to the right-handed shooter. Fire home.
So the quick reversal puts Philadelphia on top for the first time tonight. And that's the 4th of the night.
See, we go, Tasker goes back to Greaves, and now the right side wingman's got to draw, and that means the other man's got to go out to play him. He goes out late. Goalies should make the save on that, but it's a good shot by him.
Pat Lehman, a member of one of the first families of lacrosse. His brother Ben had been on the Baltimore Thunder team, but he chose to retire. And, of course, we saw John in Washington, famous name in the world of lacrosse, the Lehmans.
Absolutely. And I think Pat Lame is going to be a very favorite name for the Philadelphia. There's Vinny Pfeiffer, outstanding again.
Comes up big on Fay.
Wonder what Coach Stewart thinks about momentum and concentration now. Pfeiffer's had to make the big saves early and didn't in the first quarter, but what a second and third quarter he's played. O'Brien comes in. His first chance for a save is a goal.
Corrigan 12 feet wide left. But Philadelphia really seems to have a little bit more of a bounce in their step. Find out what the squad's made of as they need a win on the home floor. Finally got the first lead of the night as Lehman has accounted for 4 of the 8 Philadelphia goals. Greaves is just wide. Gets his own board. Over the shoulder, score! Oh my goodness! Dickie Greaves over the shoulder from 20 feet out.
He's having fun. You got to play the game and have fun. Dickie Greaves is loose and goosey. He needed that first goal in the second quarter. He got it. Here he picks up his own rebound over the shoulder. And Mr. O'Brien, who's been cold, he's been sitting on a bench for 30 minutes. He comes in now, and Coach says, you got to make the big saves. Can you get warmed up in 3 minutes? Can you get in the flow of the game? He's having the same problems that Pfeiffer had in the beginning of the game for the Wings.
And Greaves, 2 tonight, 3 on the season, also 2 assists, and a big night underway for Dick Greaves. It's nice when the guy you focus on pregame, you turn out prophetic when Greaves has a big night. Conley.
Well, certainly the kind of player that can have a big night for you, so we weren't taking a big chance. We certainly saw last week he can get the ball off. He just needed to put it between the pipes, and that's just going to make him better and better. He's going to get some confidence.
And the first 5 minutes of the third period, always a key in a coach's mind and belongs to Philadelphia. O'Brien knocked free by Conley. And a 5-man scrum in the corner, and the littlest man comes out with it. Has a man, Conley, just off the pipe.
Should have gotten rid of it. He had a man open, has the goalie concentrating on him. And here's a 3-on-1.
Carruthers will hustle back to try to join the fray. Norris alone, there he is, hit by Carruthers from behind. And in hockey they call that back-checking. Here it's called possession Baltimore.
I thought it was a good check. I'm surprised that was a foul. He got the stick on that. I don't think he pushed him from behind. I think he got the stick. Let's see. One thing that Baltimore's been doing is moving the ball to the open man better. I think that's a poor call on the part of the official, but I'm never too happy with their calls anyway.
Well, either way, it's great hustle by Carruthers to break up what would have been a 3-on-1.
So here we go.
And remember, this was a 6-2 Baltimore lead late in period number 1. Since then, 7-1 Philadelphia, and Vinny Pfeiffer's been unstoppable.
Yeah, Vinny Pfeiffer's the key. That's the man who's done the job. 1 for 15 now they are.
Here's Philadelphia's Lehman. Just can't quite get it off as he's hit from the rear by Peter Jenkins.
That's Steve Shaw again, and boy, he is just big and strong.
He's Burley through the chest, wide open in front. Pfeiffer off the pipe. Marino had Pfeiffer on his knees, and it looked like he got the far side pipe.
Vinny Pfeiffer would like this game to go on for the next 6 weeks. He would never like to have a final whistle blow and bring every club in one after another to play against them the way he's playing right now. This is unbelievable the last 2 periods.
Off the feet of O'Brien from Tucker. Tucker moving well without the ball, but a Tasker on the wing-to-wing pass. The screen in front by Manley, but O'Brien cradles.
Should have probably hit Manley with the ball and let him shoot it because there's nobody playing Manley at all on that play.
Still the shots 29-27 in favor of the Thunder. And Willard and Manley work the right wing. That's Lou Delegati with the ball in the center zone. And Baltimore back to their walk-it-up pace.
Yeah, they're definitely a 6-on-6 or 6-on-6 team. They like to settle it down and play the offensive end in a settled situation, use their size and use their off-ball picks.
Along the floor by Delegati. Manley knocks it to the corner. Loose one in front, and the loose balls have belonged to Philadelphia in the last 2 periods. Tasker smartly picks it up. A little shove from the rear on Jeff Peak. And a fresh clock for Philadelphia. Bozell shows the sidearm, and O'Brien knows it, reads it well. Then a lucky fan grabs it in row 4.
ladies and gentlemen, the special Eagle Eye lacrosse thunder.
And we have a timeout on the floor with Philadelphia enjoying a 2-goal lead at 9-7 midway through period number 3. Baltimore just 1 goal in over 22 minutes. Gladys Knight has her pips. Vinny Pfeiffer's got his pipes.
Boy, does he ever. And you know what happens to a shooter? You see somebody start getting unbelievable against you, making save after save. You start trying to make the shot in the exact corners and the exact high or low, and then the pipes come into play. You make the goalie even better than he is because you're so worried about him stopping everything you're throwing at him anyway. I think the best thing to tell your shooters at that case is when you're against a great goalie or a good goalie, make sure everything's inside the pipes, make him make every save. And instead of that, most shooters start going for more and more corners and hit more and more pipes.
And again, a great replay provided by our technical crew. The pictures have been gorgeous tonight. Here's Philadelphia seeking that loose ball. McGeaney after Stahl, but Stahl comes out with it. Baltimore has scored 24 first-half goals, 17 second-half goals in their 3 games, so they're pretty much a front-running team trailing right now midway through the 3rd. Shot clock at 15 as Stahl looks it over. Very little room in front for Baltimore. Mark Hahn from way out the top.
Hit his man again. One of the problems with screens or picks, not picks, but screens on the goalie is that you got to not only get the ball through your own man and then the goalie. They certainly cause a goalie problems, but the ball's got to get through. So you have to have great coordination between the screener and the shooter. He's got to know if you're going low or if you're going high. Tonight we've seen Baltimore hit their screener 6 or 7 different times.
Little John Conley leaves it out to Mark DeSico. And again, the loose balls have belonged to Philadelphia in the 2nd and 3rd periods. And the crowd appreciative. Conley again whips it from 50 feet.
You know, Brian took that one up in the chest and kind of lets it
Good
fall
morning,
down.
John O'Brien. Conley's got a great whip from distance. And the Thunder will change on the go.
Come down, run their 5-on-5 offensive, settled situation. Look for the picks, look for the man off the ball, look for some one-on-one. There's the double pick.
And a good switch by Steve Way to pick up his man Shaw.
Shaw with the ball looking for something inside.
Shaw had a cutter, Marino.
Pass can't be made, and the ball is
And
taken.
back comes Philadelphia.
Vinny Pfeiffer has been very good on rebounds tonight. He's really picked off a lot by himself, and his team has picked off. We saw the Baltimore Thunder score on the first rebound of the night. They haven't had one since. That's been very important.
And that's clearly how they got beat 2 weeks ago against Washington. Tucker does not have the ball. Great fake on the weak side. It's Bozell at the top. Tries that bulwark. Rebound, score! Off the backboards, Philadelphia now by 3. Give it to Dave Tasker.
It's the way to be awake. That's the garbage man. Bozell drives hard, hits his screener, goes wide. Tasker's there to pick it up. Comes back with that left hand. Real nice shot. O'Brien's got no chance in the world.
Well, if you would have told me after the 6-minute mark that Philadelphia would lead 10-7 midway through the 3rd, certainly didn't have that set of circumstances underway as they were buried early. Tasker picks up his 2nd of the night, his 3rd of the season. And Philadelphia is in command. They've scored 8 of the last 9 goals in this one. In possession, Manley had to go off his stick.
He got pretty excited then. Oh my God, I'm here alone. I got the ball. No, I don't.
Tony Resch comes out from behind to John Tucker. His shot wide, and Tucker is down. Landed on his right shoulder, slow getting up. But Tucker gives and Tucker takes, and there he is back to join the play. Once again, it could have been a 5-on-4 Baltimore, but they elect to walk it up.
The Wings got back real well then on defense. As soon as Tucker went down, 3 Wings got right back on defense. So that's nice to see. That's something I think that Dave Evans has brought to this team that was definitely missing last year. Getting back and shutting off on possible transition situations.
That's Jamie Smith. Shot clock to 10. Ill-advised pass.
And the Wings are putting their game together here.
And Philadelphia playing with so much assurance and confidence right now in front of Vinny Pfeiffer. Vinny obviously very vocal in front, talking to his defensive helpers.
You know what else happens is that you see your goalie's on. You see he's really confident. He's making a save. You can become more aggressive on defense. You can take more chances because you know that if the guy beats you, your goalie's going to make the save.
That's Corrigan crossing, and they'll launch it from behind with Danko, who played for an NCAA champion in North Carolina back in 81 and 82. Danko out front to Greaves. The turnaround. Cute little move as Dickey's got the full repertoire. Now McGeady has some harsh words for Brian Bird. It'll be Philadelphia ball.
On national TV last week, I heard Dick Vitale go, shake 'em, bake 'em, Mark, make 'em. Well, I'll tell you, Dickie Graves got all the tricks in the world, too. My God, he's got every part of the arsenal you can have on the lacrosse field, offensively.
Corrigan to the double screen and the shot in the midsection. Nice little weave, though, off the screen as it came out in front for Philadelphia.
You're sitting on a bench if you're a Baltimore Thunder and you're saying to yourself, how the hell do I score on Vinny Pfeiffer? Where do I put the ball? How do I get it by him? In the meantime, and on the other end, you got the Wings saying to themselves, man, our goalie is hot. We can go out. We can play unbelievable defense. We can go take the ball away. Be aggressive. Because this kid's going to make saves.
The give and go from Hahn inside for Glenn Norris. Norris again trying to make that perfect shot. Doesn't get it near the goal. And we've got a penalty coming up Philadelphia.
By the Wings, there's the call.
And at the 12:18 mark of period number 3, a whistle. And Dickie Greaves trying to sort it out.
I think Scott Boyle saw somebody hit somebody in the head. He's not sure who. He looked over to the other official and said, did you? He said, no, I didn't.
Well, we'll check some of the action in front.
Well, there's no penalty up to there, so maybe it happened off the ball or something, but G.T. Corrigan got it, so he's in there for a couple.
Penalty for a high stick around the head slash at 12-18.
Corrigan out of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, and Washington and Lee University.
Now here's the diamond. So you match up against the middle guy. The middle guy's just going to play the middle guy on the defensive end. You're not going to go to the wing, so you're a cornerman now. The two wing guys are just going to slide out on the shooters.
And the big guy is Bozell in front, almost like a second goaltender. And here comes Tucker, showing great speed. Has McGrath with him. Waits for the double team, then goes all the way back into his own end. Now, that was not legal a year ago.
Right, but now you can use the whole field. However, you still have the shot clock that you have to contend with. So you can kill it for 44, 45 seconds, and then you're going to lose it, so you might as well get a shot off it. Here's a nice move. Put Greaves in. Let him go some one-on-one. Let him try to get him to slide.
Shot clock down to single digits right now. And Greaves has 3 men to get through. Conley. Conley's a good shooter from distance, takes the hop and skip. And that'll be a violation against Philadelphia.
Baltimore. Back there, that's it. Here we go.
And in the final 1:35 of the third period, Philadelphia would dearly love to get out of this one with a 3-goal lead. Back in the diamond, Tucker's at the top. Pfeiffer has that one easy around the right elbow. And it's thrown down the floor by Philadelphia.
I can't see throwing it away like that. It's much better having ball control with it or drawing a penalty possibly, but they get it down. Here they go again, but Vinny is just so hot.
And, of course, Marino at the top knows that Baltimore has yet to score in the second half. That one was blocked by Tucker, who challenged the shooter. Pfeiffer comes up with it. And does not rag, gives off to Bozell.
1 minute left in this third quarter play.
Loose ball. Dangerous play. And Jeffrey comes out with it. And a whistle is sounded. And a push in the rear called against Philadelphia's John Tucker.
Against Tucker.
And I believe that there's just 1 or 2 seconds remaining on the penalty.
Ball belongs to Baltimore.
With 47 seconds remaining in the period.
Third quarter.
Marino has a man down low, but Bozell drills him, and DeSico comes out with it. And there's a cherry picker out of the penalty box was Carruthers. or make that Corrigan.
T.T. Corrigan was out of
He just didn't see him, and if anybody in the world could see him, it would be Tucker, but he had pressure on him and didn't see him. I think John still doesn't realize that they're even.
Well, the final 20 seconds of the period, Baltimore apparently will go scoreless. This was once a 6-2 Baltimore lead. It's 10-7 Philadelphia with 12. In front, just wide by Lehman, seeking his 5th of the night. Steve Way behind. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's on the back of the net, though.
That was close. That fell right out of O'Brien's stick. Wade was there to pick it up.
1 second remaining, and the third period comes to a close. Philadelphia outscores Baltimore 3-0. Vinny Pfeiffer's supreme performance. Back with period number 4 in just a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, Forrest White will be coming to the greater Philadelphia area soon. Philadelphia Wings.
Welcome back. Vinny Pfeiffer should emerge as the league leader in save percentage, as on the last 20 shots by Baltimore, just 1 goal in the last 31 minutes of action. Vinny Pfeiffer's made a difference. Here you go, Tony.
He's just been unbelievable. We said he's an anticipator, and when you give an anticipator confidence, I mean, he's just saying, come on, boys, throw him at me because I'm going to take anything you got. O'Brien's just winging him up here or Marino just winging him from the middle on the extra man. I really can't understand the philosophy of that. You got somebody who's hot in there, and you're throwing at him from 20 yards instead of trying to work it in, but then he's just smiling inside that mask and saying, let him come.
And for the final 15 minutes, Philadelphia will shoot to the goal to our left. Baltimore to our right. Shots right now even at 32. Philadelphia on top 10-7. And with the opening draw of period number 4, John Conley breaks it free and runs it down. So Philadelphia can play that possession game right now. Baltimore does not seem like that quick, explosive team. And they may not be a real good come-from-behind squad with the kind of team that they run. More of a controlled offensive game.
Real good points, no doubt about it.
That's John Fay to Jeff Peak. Easy one, knee high. And Pfeiffer, great touch for Crothers. How hard is that with that goaltender with that big stick to try to have some feathery touch on the ball?
Well, he's had a big stick in his hand his whole life, so he can put that touch on it. He's got a few more pounds on him than he's been used to most of his lacrosse career, though. But, I mean, he's been practicing and playing now for 2 years in this league, so he's used to it. He's got great touch. The outlet is so important from the goalie.
There's Lehman, has 4, looking for 5. Short side save O'Brien. Lehman used the net and scores! Goes behind the net and uses it as a defensive weapon to ward off his man and scores his 5th goal of the night.
It's the Lehman Pfeiffer show. They're competing for MVP here. We see him get the rebound behind the cage. Nice fake on the pass. Comes around and pass O'Brien's wide side.
O'Brien looks like he's never really gotten into it.
Get a great look from behind. Great shot, right off the hip again. You see the right hand move a little bit, but it's past him before he can do anything. Should have come off the pipe a little bit. A little bit better angle on that. Great shot by Lehman.
You hear the term getting caught flat in your crease. It's 11-7 Philadelphia. And that's a big run. 5th tonight, now 10 on the year for Lehman. He is 2nd in the league in goals, behind only Joe Gold of Washington. Tucker has a screen, and Philadelphia can really play with precision and control right now. O'Brien working over Tony Resch behind. And there's Mark Hahn trying to sneak away up the other end. And Jeff Bozell goes all the way back to get him. And Baltimore down by 4. The screen. The double screen. Stahl works off it, loses the ball. Bozell loses a glove, and Pierce comes down with it. Kind of a rolling body block by Dave Tasker.
Real good defense on that play. Got beat, but what you teach all your players is when you get beat, follow the player who beat you, because when he shoots, his stick has got to show. He's got to show the head of his stick on one side of his head or the other and make your check there once you're beat. He doesn't know you're behind him. Recover quick and look for that stick. That's exactly what he did. The shooter showed it. Defenseman knocks it away. Wings pick up the ground ball.
That's McGeady. Nice little look in front, and despite the hold, Greaves gets one off.
Right here is where you want to get rid of the ball. And he doesn't. Kind of shuts you down. You have a chance to find some people open out front. Everybody's got their eyes on the ground ball.
That's McGrath, still looking for his very first of the season. But again, Tony, running clock is still very critical. Greaves, the high lob in front, and just over the top for Philadelphia. But still, the shot clock resets. McGrath brings it back out front, and we're inside 12 minutes.
I think the Wings have grown up tonight. The second, third, in this period, taking control, finding out how to play with each other, confident.
And we touched on early in the game, Tony, how few penalties Philadelphia has taken tonight. That's been a major problem, especially in their game here at the Spectrum, when they gave up opportunity after opportunity, and Washington finally put them away. Tonight they have limited the stupidity, if you will, and have played the game, and have played it with great precision and efficiency.
Absolutely.
No angle at all right there for Shaw. And Pfeiffer wants it. Really in the flow.
Pfeiffer also says to the referee, I picked that ball up in the crease. They hit my stick. That's illegal there, ref. Let's call it.
And it's Carruthers who'll set it with DeSico, Lehman, Gary Martin, who's been quiet tonight, and John Cunley. Conley knocked to the floor by Shaw. But DeSico comes out with it. Shot clock in single digits now at 8. Carruthers should try to get one off. 3. Lehman scores! With 2 seconds remaining, Pat Lehman sets a league record with his 6th goal of the night.
He might have hurt his ankle again. Just it seemed like that turf's been loose in that area since the start of the second half, and I thought he might have lost his balance after he shot. We'll see. I hope it's not. Boy, that's a gorgeous shot. Big bounce shot to the offside. Here's a great look out front for him. Gets the shot off the hip, just puts it by. Big bounce, comes right off O'Brien's hip.
And there was only 2 seconds remaining on the 45-second count. And that is the league record. Number 6 on the night for Pat Lehman, who's the 11th of the season. He is still down to our left. But Philadelphia has built a 5-goal lead. Chris O'Brien of this Baltimore Thunder team scored 5 goals against Philadelphia in a game here last season. And Pat Lehman now with 6 has broken the record, and Vinny Pfeiffer may have to wait another night to be named MVP of the game. As how can you say anything else about Pat Lehman? The all-time leading scorer in Loyola University history.
Maybe you have to give out 2 MVP awards. I mean, one man's doing it for you at the offensive end. Boy, at the same time, look at the defensive end. You know, Pfeiffer's just as great down there.
And there's the upcoming Philadelphia Wings schedule on the 6th of February as Lehman is up and walking. New Jersey still undefeated here on the 6th. And then Washington the 14th of February, Baltimore for the season finale on the 20th, followed by the Saints and Thunder. That's right, the league has been expanded to 8 games this season. So the final game against Baltimore comes Saturday, February the 27th.
The New Jersey Saints come in 1 week, and they're undefeated, and what a game that is for the fans to come out and see. That'll be a great one.
And so on the 6th, prior to the game against the league leading.
And Philadelphia can just play ball control. Obviously, 5 goals is not an insurmountable lead in the indoor game. But boy, Philadelphia seems to come up with every loose ball thus far.
It sure looks like it's insurmountable when you got Pfeiffer in there. He's got that invisible shield up there, and you just can't score on him.
And we've got the rugby scrum just beneath the Baltimore Thunder bench.
And we'll resume play with a face-off.
It's been a very well-played game. Very few penalties.
Yeah, and all the hits, all the contact have been just real good from the front. Nothing really cheap. Everything's been in their face. It's really been an excellent played game.
And there's John Tucker, who seemingly has lived all night long inside the face-off circle.
John Tucker just does so many things for you. I know we talk about him an awful lot, but he just gets ground balls. He wins face-offs. He looks for the open man. He plays defense as well as anybody on this team. But boy, oh boy, Pat Lehman's got to be on everybody's lips tonight. You watch him just have an incredible night of shooting a lacrosse ball.
In front of a huge crowd at the Spectrum. What a great thrill for these players to have this kind of reception here in Philadelphia and build this 5-goal lead. Manley tries to strip Kelly, but it comes to Peak. Shot clock down at 17, and Baltimore resets.
260-pound Jeff Bozell just welcomed Frank Kelly to the Box Lacrosse League on the boards. What a crunch. Frank Kelly's about 5'8", 150.
Smith over the shoulder shot. Pfeiffer read that and handled it easily. Again, this was a 6-2 Thunder lead late in the first period. Since then, 11-1 Philadelphia over the course of the last 36 minutes of indoor lacrosse. And in no hurry at all, Philadelphia McGrath with Greaves. Once again, the shot clock's at 15, the game clock inside 9 minutes. McGrath at the top, has a man on the other wing, switches hands. Shot clock at 5. And the crowd letting them know to get it off, but they will not. And the clear possession, Jeff Peak, no violation. The trailer. And that one kind of telegraphed for Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer has come up real big in the second half.
Public address announcer just said that Pfeiffer's come up real big in the second half. That must be the understatement of the year, maybe of the century.
And there's Gary Martin, now a resident of King of Prussia, an All-American at Penn State in 1983. And Lehman is back on the floor. That's great to see. Pat Lehman with 6 goals. Had that little bit of a ankle problem a few minutes ago. Is back with his unit, the #1 line of Conley, Martin, Lehman, DeSico, and Carruthers.
I think one thing that enters a coach's mind is he's watching somebody have the kind of night offensively that Pat Lehman's having is, should I use him on a couple more lines? Am I using him enough? I think you want to be careful about that and just keep his regular shifts. He's going to get his opportunities. He's going to get his shots off.
Norris forced to the back. Has to come out front to Mark Hahn, who's been virtually silent tonight, and Hahn has nowhere to go. Just 1 goal on the night. Came in averaging 3.5 goals per game. Shot clock down to 20.
It certainly isn't that he's not getting the shots off. It's that Vinny Pfeiffer's stopping everything they throw at him.
Norris. Pfeiffer right there waiting. Has the big pallet down around the ankles as Norris sought the 5-hole. Well, it's been a textbook second half for Philadelphia. Coach Evans should bottle this period. It's got to be the longest an indoor lacrosse team has gone without scoring.
7 minutes remaining.
As we're inside 7 minutes, it was 7-7 at halftime.
You know, and it just snowballs. Your goalie gets hot, which I think happened first. I don't think that the defense started playing great. I think Pfeiffer just got hot, started making the saves. The defense saw that. They start playing tougher. The opponents say, my God, their defense is aggressive. Their goalie's making all the saves. I got to start shooting better. They start taking the tougher shots, and they start missing sooner. So all of it kind of snowballs and gets bigger and bigger.
Stahl gets nailed for pushing from the rear right there. Looked like one official had that just as a dead ball. The other may have called a penalty on it as Scott Boyle heads over to the off-the-floor officials.
Okay, we'll have a timeout here, ladies and gentlemen.
We do indeed have a timeout remaining. Philadelphia seemingly in command at 12-7, coming back with the final 6.5 minutes right after this. Well, this was the pièce de résistance, the league record from Pat Lehman.
Great bounce shot off the hip side from way outside. One of the things that helped on that, he shot off his defenseman's hip side as well.
A little bit of a Washington wave going on in the building.
The Philadelphia wave. Larry, you mentioned before, it's so exciting for lacrosse players to come in front of a crowd of 14,000, 15,000 people. I mean, the most they've ever played in front of in their college careers, 2,000, 3,000, unless they get to the NCAA championships where there's 23, 24,000.
Jeff Bozell just wide.
Great ball movement then on the man. Great ball movement by the wings.
And that's Steve Shaw. Had Pfeiffer on his knees, but his shot was over the top. Jenkins is wide.
There's a great example of what we were talking about with the shooter. He had Pfeiffer beat so badly then, but he put it to wide because he's just trying to hit the corner instead of putting it in the hole.
Well, it's going to be a happy Dave Evans on the Philadelphia bench.
And are using as much of the clock as they can.
Not over to the fat lady sings, though.
Corrigan has Greaves. Nice look. And O'Brien seemingly going the wrong way. Got a piece of it.
You're able to isolate players in front of O'Brien time and time again.
And O'Brien had just gone one pass more to Danko on the opposite side. It's a goal, but they had 4 nice passes on that.
Pfeiffer, the big save on Willard. Another by Pfeiffer. That one a little easier from 30 feet out. But the big save was on Willard.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And now he tries to get into the mix out back. Shakes the ball free. And a nice little duck by McGeady. How do you like that action?
They're hot. They're having fun. The Philadelphia Wings are having fun. For the first time this year, they've got it in control. This is exactly what they need. Getting ready for the rest of the season. This is such a big win for them, and it's put so much confidence in them.
And we've got a timeout on the floor right now. With 5 minutes, 2 seconds remaining. Philadelphia up 12-7. They've scored 11 of the last 12 goals in the game. The last Thunder goal came with 3 minutes remaining in the second period. Philadelphia held New Jersey to 8 last year. They held Baltimore to 8 last year. They're holding Baltimore to 7 right now. And a timeout on the floor. And again, there's the man. Vinny Pfeiffer has played every moment of this one, clearly making the difference for Philadelphia, as he did for New Jersey a year ago.
Yeah, Vinny's just been, I mean, every time I see Vinny, great story about Vinny. He started his career at the University of Baltimore. And in his senior year, they dropped lacrosse as a sport. In fact, they dropped all of their intercollegiate sports. And then he went on to Loyola College, where he was a great goalie there.
And we have a special word for you on an instructional lacrosse clinic, 9:30 to 11:30 on February the 6th. You must be 18 years of age or older, featuring Wings demonstrating the basics of the game and assisting you lacrosse buffs on improving your skills. If you attend the clinic, you'll have an opportunity to direct questions to the players, see a special highlight video on the Philadelphia Wings and the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. That is at 9:30 on Saturday, February the 6th.
Nobody better to learn lacrosse from than the players who play the game. So it's a great chance to come out and find out about the box game from the people who play it.
Inside 5 minutes, that's Gary Martin as Philadelphia seemingly content to just work the perimeter.
Yeah, they're getting a lot more movement into their offense. They're doing a lot of nice things, and then they're opening up for the little ISO.
Remember, this Baltimore team beat Washington 11-10 for the league title last year in a low-scoring affair. Held to 7 goals through 55-plus minutes of action tonight. And Philadelphia has handled virtually every loose ball all night long, save for the opening 7 minutes. Wing to wing to Martin. Takes the check. Still has it. Has Lehman coming down the slot. Goes to Conley instead. Shot clock at 12. Good spin move. Conley goes low. Ladies and gentlemen, the largest crowd in the history of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, 16,038, a new league record. Delegati's shot is handled by Pfeiffer. And Gary Martin has the rebound. How do you like that? 16,038 in attendance to watch the Philadelphia Wings go for their first win of the season.
And you know what? We haven't seen a fight. We haven't seen a punch thrown, and we got 16,000 people cheering their heads off. They're appreciating good lacrosse. like it should be played. Good straight hits in front of people. Hard-nosed, physical, but not cheap or dirty, and no fighting. It's really so much better, and they appreciate it.
Down to the 3:15 mark.
Waits for the ball, Tucker.
Tucker says, move out of my way.
5-goal lead, by the way.
Shot clock is about to expire before Tucker can get it off, so they'll accept the 45-second violation.
Expires.
Down to 3 minutes. Yeah, Baltimore does not seem to have the answers tonight to Vinny Pfeiffer. What a confidence builder for the new head coach, Dave Evans, and his young squad.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's attendance.
Stahl goes high on Pfeiffer. And here the crowd in attendance gives themselves a round of applause. 16,038. Even bigger than the 13,800 that we had a couple of weeks ago. And how do you like this? Vinny Pfeiffer may post a 30-minute shutout.
And Dickie Greaves is going to do his little dipsy-do and finds the open man.
Nice anticipation by O'Brien. Danko looking for his first.
Baltimore picks it up.
And in the open floor comes Baltimore. That's O'Brien, number 25. Had 5 goals here a year ago. Has been silent tonight. 2 minutes remaining.
2 minutes remaining, and Vinny Pfeiffer and the Wings defense can pull off the lowest goals ever allowed in the MIL.
That shot is 7-8 feet wide, and Tasker has it. Uses Pfeiffer. And Vinny having a good time.
Pfeiffer with the ball. What a great night Vinny Pfeiffer had, ladies and gentlemen.
Accepts the accolades of the crowd.
And they get a break here, 3-on-2. It's clinic time. It's showtime.
Good job to spread the floor by Tasker.
And here's another guy that's had a good game.
Greaves is stripped, however, as Pat Lehman is announced as tonight's most valuable player.
Goal scoring mark of 6 tonight for the MILL. Pat Lehman.
110 and counting. A weak one-handed shot by Moreno. Nobody picks him up. Jenkins has all day and hits the top. Hits the crossbar. And the net becomes dislodged. They do not stop play. Jenkins again. Pfeiffer beats him. Oh, and there's a nice hit on Gary Martin by Willard. And McGrath leaving calling cards for the next time these two teams meet. And here's Lehman. One-on-one with 35 seconds remaining. Lehman takes a quick hop, skip for the jump, and he'll send it back to his own end. The crowd begins to rise in the closing 25 seconds. 7 goals, the lowest ever scored in the league.
They just spread it out and look for the open man. Keep it moving. You work on this in practice.
And we'll let the crowd count down the final 5 seconds.
And Tucker throws it up top.
The Philadelphia Wings have won their first of the 1988 Major Indoor Lacrosse League season. A clinical second-half performance. They beat the Baltimore Thunder 12-7.
Very interesting. MVP award goes to Pat Lehman. Well-deserved. The entire Philadelphia Wing team goes to Vinny Pfeiffer at the end of the game and says, great job, you're our MVP too.
Once again, our final score, Philadelphia Wings 12, Baltimore Thunder 7. We'll come back, wrap it up on our postgame report right after this.
To the center of the floor.